Hey guys, hope you enjoyed that shooting demo. Today I'm going to show you how to make that same stand. It's pretty simple. All you need is some 3D printed stuff from my Shapeways store and some basic materials from the hardware store. Easy to make. At the end you get a nice stand that has interactive targets, which are a lot more fun to shoot than stationary or paper targets, and easy to reset, so requires minimal work. All you're doing is shooting. So stay tuned. I'm going to go over how I built this, and hopefully you'll want to do it yourself as well. The first element to this whole target build are these 3D printed targets that I've designed. Now, this is not some new invention. A lot of this stuff exists in the real steel world, but for Airsoft it's not exactly a one-to-one transition, because Airsoft BBs carry so little energy that these targets need to be very fine-tuned to the point where they don't fall over when you go to reset them, but they do fall over when you hit them, and it's a very small gap there where it's just perfect, where the BB can take it down, but the reset arm or other targets falling down does not. So this is a two-piece system. You have your retainer for the target, and then you have your little block that attaches to any surface you choose, wood preferably. And together, when they interlock, it becomes a hinge system. And the retainer I designed specifically for these outlet covers. They're called outlet box covers, and these are available at any hardware store. I got them at Lowe's and Home Depot. They're 4 inches across, and they're about $4 to $2 in range, so pretty inexpensive. They're metal, so you're not going to damage them with Airsoft, and they make a very satisfying ping sound when hit. So even if the target doesn't fall down for some reason, you know you've hit it. I've been using these for a couple of years for my other stationary targets, but this is taking it to a new level. So this interlocks with the target, and I'm using a built-in one. Here's an example. As you can see, the openings, the one center opening on the retainer lines up perfectly with the opening on the target, and then you screw it down. That attaches the target to the retaining piece. And the nut and the screw also have a second function other than just retaining the target to the swivel piece. What you could do, and what you have to do, is to use some washers here on the back side to fine-tune the length of this screw comes out the front. This lets you get the target perfectly set up. Maybe you have an uneven surface, or perhaps your gun's not shooting hot enough to knock the target down. At that point, what you can do is remove some of these washers, or go completely no washers, and this will stick the screw out further, which means the target will lean back more, so when it's hit, it has less distance to travel before gravity takes over. You could fine-tune how sensitive the targets are to the BBs. Of course, you don't want them to be too sensitive, because when they fall down, if all the targets are very sensitive, they'll end up knocking each other over just from the force of them hitting the stand. If you're doing just one target at a time, then you don't have to worry about that. All you need to do is hit it, and they'll fall over, and then you can go reset it. But on a tree like this, you want them to be fine-tuned, so then when one goes down, all don't go down, or when you go to reset the targets and the arm falls back down, it doesn't bring the targets back down with it. Once you have your target hooked up to the pieces, and I am using it on this outlet cover, which works really well, but there are extra openings here, so you can mount pretty much anything on here. You could take some sheet metal and cut out a silhouette, or even take a smashed up Coke can, put 2 holes in it, and attach it to here, and that will work as well if you don't want to go this route. So here I just did the same thing 6 times. I fine-tuned it to where each one would only fall down only from being hit by the BB, and then reset properly by the arm. And it's a pretty fine-tuned system. With this nut and bolt combo, I need about 3 to 2 washers on the back of all of them. Some even have 4. If you're only looking to set up one target, all you need to do is get this and hit up the hardware store, buy one of these covers for a couple $, nuts and bolts. You probably have some laying around, and washers. If not, pick some up at the hardware store. You're all set. Then you could take the stand, screw it into anywhere. A piece of wood would be nice, something that's heavy enough that's not going to get knocked over with the target. However, if you want to build this tree, there's a little bit more work, obviously. So I built a 6 target tree. What you will need is a big piece of wood. I'm using this piece. I think it was about 48 inches in length, and it looks like about 6-7 inches wide. And all you're really doing is cutting out this sort of U shape. This is all one piece. All I did was go in here with a circular saw. I cut some, drilled some holes to where I'm going to make turns, because it's hard to get the perfect stop with a saw or to get the jigsaw in there. Straight cut here, straight cut down, and then straight cut to the side. So basically out of one piece you end up with two pieces. One is sort of a U shape and the other one's like a really fat T shape. They interlock together. You want to make these cuts really wide. If you have a wide blade, that's good, because you don't want any friction on the arm as it's going up or down, because it could get stuck. So the wider they are, it's actually a little bit better. Then you need to make this thing pivot so it could go up and down. It's also very important that when it's all the way in the up position, leaning against the targets, it's always below the 90-degree angle, because if you made the side cut over here, for example, when this would swivel up, it would now be leaning forward, and when you let go of the rope, this arm would not fall down, because the gravity is pulling it forward now instead of backwards. So keep that in mind when you're cutting. Then you will need some hinges to make this thing go up and down. I use these long hinges, I'm not sure why. If you go to the hardware store, get one that has the triangle piece up here but a flat piece here, because this surface is very small and that would actually work better. And you want to put the actual pivot part right here on the gap so the arm moves nice and smooth. There's nothing to snag on. So with the hinges in place and this arm pivoting, you now have a manually operated stand. If that's all you want to do, again, you could stop, but you will have to walk to the target, reset it, and gently lower it. I wanted something that I could reset remotely, so I could get more shooting in instead of more resetting in. What I have done is added a rope to the center, just tied it around, and then I'm running through this, I believe, clothesline hanger. It's not going to get snagged on anything, so when I pull, it goes as it should, and then it lowers as it should. It's nice and smooth, there's nothing to get stuck on. I got it attached to some rope I had laying around. Something thick probably works better, because if it's too thin, it might get stuck here around the pulley. So then I had my remotely operatable arm. The problem is when I would go to drop the arm, the energy would hit would reset all the targets. So to solve that, there's a couple things you need to do. First, you want to make sure this platform's secure, whatever you're putting it. I'm putting it on the planter wall in my garden, and then I'm clamping it down with these clamps just to give it an extra down pressure so there's less wiggling. What you want to do is take out any wiggle possible. I think the best solution would be to screw it down to something, but I don't want this on permanent display in my yard, so I can temporarily clamp it in, use it, and then take it down and put it away when I don't need it. To further reduce the amount of shock the system takes when the arm falls down or when one of the targets falls down, I've gone ahead and padded the reset arm back here with this insulation tubing, and this stuff is the kind of rubbery, foamy stuff. It's very soft, it's really absorbent, and this helps by dampening the amount of energy that's coming off the arm when it hits the platform. And also when a target falls from being shot, it absorbs some of the energy as well, because the target lays down on here. So that combination of the two is making it possible for me to remotely reset the targets and then drop the arm a little bit. You have to be a little bit gentle. Sometimes if you dump it really hard, it'll still knock down the target. But if you lower it with a little bit of finesse, it'll put down the arm and keep all the targets up, and then I haven't had problems with the targets knocking over other targets as they go down. If you don't want to go to the hardware store to get the foam, or you're in a tight budget, you could use the foam that comes with a lot of airsoft guns. It works really well. You could wrap it around maybe once or twice here, and then zip tie it or tape it in place, and that will work just as well. So that's another option. So that, in essence, is really all there is. As you can see, I do have a second piece of wood under here, and that serves two functions. One, it's a shelf here for the arm to lay down on. Before I had the foam, the arm would just want to swivel under. The foam now stops it, so it's not necessary, but it gives it a little more sturdy platform, a little heavier, so a little less vibrations. Also, these screws are kind of long, and they were going through this piece and then just sticking out the bottom. So instead of having to grind all of them off, I've added a second piece, and all the screws are sinking into there. And it's also, like I said, serving as a shelf here for the arm. It might sound more complicated than it is. You're really cutting a piece of wood, adding a hinge on each side, padding it, rope in the center, one of these pulleys, and of course the target system, which is perfectly designed for those outlet covers. And once you're done, you have an awesome system that you can just clamp in wherever you need or keep it permanently attached if you choose. Pull on the rope, they're all up, you shoot them, reset them. I've reset it from about 30 feet and even from 60 feet. That's as far as I can go. It actually resets smoother somehow from further distances. What I've been doing is a drill where I'll go to 30 feet, I'll shoot the targets, and then I'll have the rope out at 60 feet and I'll run out there, reset the targets to kind of get my heartbeat up. Then run back to the 30, now the targets are up, then I shoot them again and run back and reset. And this is a good exercise because it's actually keeping you mobile, it's getting your heart rate up, and you get to practice shooting and moving and stopping and getting that first shot on target. So a really good way to practice. Hopefully you guys will pick up some of these targets, and hopefully this tutorial was helpful. Check out the store, please subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. If you don't want to buy these targets or you're tight on funds, you could go the hinge route. So the idea is the same. You would put the hinge down so it's ready to swivel up. Then put in here whatever you want to use as a target, maybe some sheet metal or a Coke can or one of these. So then you would have the hinge with the target swiveling up and down. Then you would need some kind of wall here to retain the target. And through there you could probably put a screw in or a nut and bolt, and then tighten it or loosen depending on what your needs are to adjust how much the target is traveling forward, so you could get that fine tuning. So this could be done completely from stuff from the hardware store, but if you wanted a little cleaner, neater solution, do check out my mounts at my store.